Welcome to Toronto Until Live. I'm Steve Artabello with Anthony Harris and Theo Giordano. You can find us at our website, torontountilt.com. You can find us at our Twitter, at Toronto Untilt. We're live right now on Twitch, Toronto Untilt. We're live on YouTube, as we always are, Toronto Untilt. And you can find our audio stream. Once this is over, we'll get it posted anywhere that you... One of you who's listening to that, please got it. There's always Tony. I love how Tony does this literally every single week. But you can find our audio anywhere that you stream podcasts. That's Spotify, that's Apple Podcasts, that's Google Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, Bleaker, all of the things. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. So it was fight night across the sporting landscape in Toronto. We'll get to the Argos thing because Tony and Theo have takes. I mean, it was pretty ridiculous by the end of it when you saw the videos and shit. And then everyone has wild takes on this Leafs business. We'll talk about it. We're still waiting on the Jason Spezza suspension news because the NHL is fucking ridiculous. This meeting happened at 1:00 and it's 8 p.m. and we still don't have a... I think it's probably going to be 5 games because of that, but Theo has kind of like a moment by moment, like point form, kind of what happened leading up to this. And we're going to go through it bit by bit, talk about it, talk about the moments, talk about what we felt, how we felt about the reaction. Because there's been some wild takes about
Just
it.
The dumbest humans.
Yeah, like
dumb shit.
Same. So we're going to talk about it. So Theo, and then after the Argos, as always, we bring on Andrew Clark. We'll talk a little bit of Raptors at the end. And if we have time, we'll talk Seiya Suzuki before we get to the Raps. Seiya, it's going to be really hard to
I was hoping you would know.
I'm going to need to hear someone say it before I have any idea what's going on here.
Who's the guy you trust with MLB pronunciations? Because for UFC, John Anik,
Arden's Welling for these dudes. Like when Shohei Ohtani was becoming a thing, they sent him to Japan to write a story about him and like interview him and talk to him and follow him around. So like, it wouldn't surprise me. Like him, Ben Nicholson Smith, like those guys. When you hear them pronounce names, like they're very well studied, and John Boy will know his name because he's too big of a media personality now to like. I know he's funny and everyone like loves, because if you've seen also like the breakdown of the biting incident, it's the funniest fucking thing on the planet. The Brady Tkachuk, Brandon Lemieux thing, because he does hilarious breakdowns. But yeah, so John Boyle probably might have it, but yeah, we'll see.
The question. You can see it, but
let's get to the.
We'll talk some Leafs right now. I didn't even have many Leafs takes coming into Sunday. Thought it was whatever week, and then that game happened.
The Minnesota game, like they came back from the lead and they lost a shootout because a 3-goal, like came back from 3 down and lost the shootout, and the shootout sucks. Even when they win, the shootout sucks. The shootout always sucks because 3-on-3 is awesome. Right. Like when you get the shootout right after 3-on-3, it's such a huge letdown. And that's even when the Leafs lose in 3-on-3. It's just way more entertaining to watch 3-on-3 than it is the shootout. But anyways, we'll get.
Yeah. So the first part of this game, which is part of the stupid shit I'm hearing, is the Matthews, Dubois, tie-up, mugging, whatever you want to call it.
This was the beginning to me of, okay, the refs have lost all control, like complete control of this game, because he's standing, one of the linesmen was standing right beside Dubois and Matthews watching it and went, oh yeah, offsetting.
Matching minors.
And Matthews isn't going to turn around and hit him because I know Pierre-Luc Dubois is a good player. He's good NHL. Matthews is a franchise player. That's not a trade you want to take where matching minors happens. The Winnipeg Jets will take that trade every single day. Where we lost Pierre-Luc Dubois. Yeah, he's valuable, but you lost Austin Matthews, so we'll take that trade every day. So Matthews isn't reacting because he should get a fucking power play. It's like the same thing with McDavid, where they don't protect their stars because this league is stupid and they have Bush League referees, but that's the NHL. MICKEYMOUSC. Like that's how this league operates. It's a joke. But yeah, so that mugging
You had that starting right away, set the tone in a terrible way, and then disgusting.
Yeah, and they lost control right off the hop because now at this point,
Rasmus Sandin,
Neil Pionk, who's done that before, he's need people before. This is a thing he has done before.
And right after, like, if you could have stopped the entire night, if you call penalty there,
kick him out for knee
right there.
And you know what happens? That saves Neil Pion's fucking dome because he got a concussion.
Yeah, that only happened because that's why. So you had that happen. Then you had what happened with Spezza right after, which we will get deeper into now because we thought we would hear the suspension by now.
Yeah, you figured it'd be 1-2 games, maybe. Yeah, I'd say 1 to 2 games, maybe 3 because you're trying to get rid of the headshots. But yeah, now I'm convinced it's going to be 5 games.
It's going to be
now
5
I'm convinced because we still haven't heard yet.
Which is stupid because you have to look at track record into this kind of thing.
For someone who doesn't have a history and who has such a long fucking career in the league as Jason Spezza, like, it's one of those things where it's just like, give your head a shake. Like, what are you doing here? Like, what are we doing here?
Good guy.
Like, I get it. Like, and here's the thing. That's a bad play. That's suspendable.
Oh,
play.
Someone's frozen again.
It's a suspendable
You need
play.
him in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you need him in the head. He wasn't trying to knee him in the head, but he was trying to hit him in the head. Like he was trying. Like, there was a chunk of flesh was trying to be taken there. He was trying to hit him and hurt him. You know what I mean? It was one of those like, I'm gonna get you back for taking out my young defenseman. That's exactly what it was. And he ended up, because Pionk's falling and hits it, and Spezza's falling to try to hit him, he ends up kneeing him right in the dome, and it's just bad. You know what I mean? It's not a hockey play. It isn't. It's just you expect a suspension, but the fact that he could get 5 games is insane.
Especially with the news that came out today.
Oh yeah, Mitch Marner's out now for 3 to 4 weeks, but he's not playing tonight. Although they're up 3-0 against Columbus as we watch this, it's in the very beginning of the second period, and Michael Bunting, who gets $900,000 this year and $900,000 next year, is just out here throwing behind the fucking no look through the legs behind the back. Filthy.
One of my favorite goals of the season so far. Definitely.
Oh, never mind. I was just and Nick Ritchie fucking scored his first goal as a Leaf, which was awesome. And Nick Ritchie has 5 points in the last 6 games. Just want to throw that
right after that Spezza thing. So what do you think for suspension? You think 5 games is too much?
I'm thinking that's going to happen, and I'm thinking it's stupid. Again, I thought it was 1. I think it's 1 or 2, 3 because you're trying to get rid of headshots, but because it's Jason Spezza, it really shouldn't be. Like, it shouldn't be a huge suspension. And then Pionk gets 2 for kneeing, and you're like, okay, this is a repeat offender for kneeing. What? But Spezza's going to get a longer suspension here. Like, what is happening?
It makes sense, and it wraps into the officiating thing that we were discussing on the ice. It's just as incompetent off the ice.
Well,
nothing really adds up and makes sense.
I talked about it before when we talked about the Leafs, where it's like the playoffs is a different game. They don't call the rules. Well, like you did. In the regular season, that happens when you have refs that are bad at their jobs, that are completely incompetent, like the refs that were in control of that game. And it happens often in the NHL. And you saw a ref get caught last year basically saying that game management, not basically, for 100% saying game management is a thing, and he got like dishonorably discharged. They like fired him when he couldn't retire. Like, you're just seeing it. You're just seeing it. You're just not hearing them. Like, they've already admitted it. You know what's happening. And immediately with that Dubois Matthews thing, you lost control of the game. You completely lost control of the game.
Simmons stuff. You had Simmons, who the most beloved player right now, other than Spezza. Spezza's very beloved here.
Yeah.
Wayne Simmons has the fight.
Well, Wayne Simmons was just going to beat the shit out of somebody, and then the best part is you give him a 10-minute suspension. You gave him a 10-minute misconduct with 12 minutes left in the game. Like, he needed to get kicked out of the game. You needed to throw him out, and they didn't. And what did you think was going to happen when that 10-minute misconduct, when he came out of the box?
I love how when he was going in the box, he's just holding him. He wouldn't let him go. He's like, he's gonna in the box. He's like, we're gonna.
Logan Stanley's 6'6", and by the way, he was celebrating because a referee and 2 linesmen had to keep Wayne Simmons from pounding his face in, and he was celebrating that he was kept away from. The best too is that hilarious. Oh, it's the best beating the Leafs. It's like, you're in the Western Conference. Like, do you care that much?
This is what happened last year.
Yeah, it's like you guys care that much, eh? Like, you really care. Like, Winnipeg's got a lot going on for it. Y'all care that much about it, eh? It's great. It's real great.
What was that, Anthony?
Winnipeg. They got the Grey Cup.
Their football's out.
They got a big weekend.
Yeah, that's all the fans there were charged up from what happened before in the day. Yeah.
Well, I'm a Winnipeg guy now. Not hockey, but I mean Jets.
Yeah.
No, Blue Bombers. Sorry.
He and Steve just dropped out for a second, but yeah, we were talking. I don't know if we want to get CFL now. I don't really have any more takes about this hockey
I think
thing.
we did everything.
I don't know how much you want. Like,
well, Wayne Simmons is the best.
I do want to say this about this because this Leafs thing, it felt like a moment for the Leafs in time where it's going to springboard them into something bigger.
Well,
like we didn't win the game. We were talking about how, like, you know, the game was kind of lost. It felt like they still had a chance to win, but when stuff started falling apart, it was like, okay, you know, whatever. Let's just start showing that we're not this soft team anymore. And I think that's what they established that night. And no matter what you think of the Spezza, what happened and what's going to result from that is going to be very positive for this team.
Well, it's not just that. It's like I said at the beginning when they went on that, they didn't win at the beginning of the season. I was getting very upset. I was like, this is the same team. It's the same team that does the same stuff, that loses the same way, that quits in the same way, that just gives up in the same way. It's the same team. That was very much a different team because that game, they did the Leaf thing. They came right back and it was like, oh man, they're 2 goals away. It felt like they could come back. And it felt like there was a conscious decision led by Wayne Simmons of, I don't care. You can win this game. You can win this game in December. I'm beating the fuck out of somebody for what happened to Rasmus Sandin. I'm getting a pound of flesh. And Michael Bunting's going to fight. And Nick Ritchie's going to get in there and be annoying and fight. And like, it's just the whole team kind of doubled down and stuck up for each other. And it was really nice. And like you said, sometimes in seasons you can point to moments where it's like, oh man, it really looks like the team came together. And I kept talking how they were kind of rallying around Nick Ritchie. And this might be another thing where it's like, okay, well, Mitch Marner's not playing. Your second highest paid, like you're supposed to be your second best player, third highest paid because Tavares makes like 100, not even 100, like 70,000 more than him because Mitch makes 10.93 because stupid reasons, or 8, 9, whatever the fuck he makes. Anyways,
speaking of Marner though, like he definitely was like, thank God I'm not in this game tonight.
He'd be target number 1 for them.
He's not. That's not his type of. Yeah,
they would have kept him off the ice and just been like, all right.
But injury news though. Marner's out 3 to 4 weeks. Sandin after taking that knee. Thank God it's actually only 2 to 3 weeks because it looked pretty bad. And then Travis Dermott randomly today, his shoulder's hurt and he's not going to be out as long as Marner, who also has a shoulder thing, but it's still not great. It's kind of undisclosed, so. They're clearly not trading anyone. They called up, I think it's Alexander Steves is the forward replacement, and Christian Rubens, a 6'5" Latvian defenseman, is up and starting and playing with
the exact same measurables as Anthony.
Perfect.
6'5", 221. Big boy, 227 or whatever. That's Hockey DB has him at 221, and TSN said 227. So
like him and Chris Bryant are my comps, my athletes. The exact same size.
But if you're going to take these injuries now, it's best to do it.
Well, the good thing is it's not. Well, ideally, it's not long term. Oh yeah, you can hear the puppy doing puppy things.
Usually, it waits until it's over, but I guess not today.
No.
Well, she has something to say about Jason Spezza, obviously.
Well, Benji is very upset about Jason Spezza. He's just letting you know that he needs his thoughts to be heard. That this is bullshit.
Bullshit.
Exactly.
Can we move on to the Argos, to the most beloved Toronto team?
I guess just the last thing on the Leafs. What I was saying about hoping that they kind of like the way that they just. If you're watching this game, like if you're watching us live and you have the Leafs game on, they came out and like the shots are 22-10 right now. It's 3-0. They came out and just pumped Columbus to start. Like, it was awesome to see, considering you're missing so many pieces. It's basically exactly the type of response you want to.
It's what they do now. They don't let teams in games. They just start putting the foot on the gas. And if this continues, like again, we have only positive things to say.
The last thing I'll say about the Leafs is what I said. The last positive thing, where like the rational part of me goes, teams like this, as these guys age and become 26, 27 years old, like. Willie's 26 now. Matthews is 20, or Mitch is 25 now. Matthews is 24. Like they're older now. Like they're becoming men, like physically and mentally and emotionally. And you kind of have to go through the losing to break through and win. Like even the Blackhawks lost a whole bunch before they won. It's just that's That's what happens. The Capitals lost the whole fuck ton. And it's like the rational part of me goes, well, maybe that's happening. And then the least part of me goes, no. They're just doing what they did last year to me again. Yeah. That's what the irrational Leafs fan goes like.
Chicago had a long drought too.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of positives that have come out of what was a bad game, an ugly game, a bunch of injuries. But again, it seems to be positives because again, this was a team that one guy would get hurt and they would fold. Now you've lost your entire third pairing and one of your best players, your second leading scorer point wise from last year. It's just it's very impressive. It's nice to see. It's not something that I'm used to as a Maple Leaf fan. I usually watch them in a game like this fall apart. You know what I mean? You're coming off the back-to-back losses and you have suspensions and injuries. And they just coming out here and shit pumping a team that they're better than. It's awesome. So yeah, we'll get now to the Argos
that were better, that didn't get the result they deserved.
Yeah, boys.
The Toronto Argonauts. I'm not the biggest CFL guy. I do like having it on in the background of whatever I'm doing. If I'm at home, I like putting a CFL game on. It's a fun league to watch.
It's a lot of offense. It's a lot of offense.
Like, well, I mean, that game was a perfect example of how fun it can be.
I make fun of CFL, but it's mostly because like I just don't watch it. There's not time anymore because it's like the Argos also used to be really, really good when I was in high school and playing CFL rules football, so there's just more reasons for me to watch. And then now the Argos basically
the Damon Allen era. It was amazing.
They were fun. I remember Arlen. I don't know if either of you.
Arlen Bruce.
Arlen Bruce the third was fucking awesome. I loved him.
Hawaiian Shadow.
Oh my god, they had some, right. Like they had some really good fucking players and teams.
For yesterday's game, Tony, because I know me and Tony were texting during this game because I knew he was watching it. What were your thoughts? Just your base thoughts on this game? On what the Argos were doing early on, especially with the red zone drives.
Before we even get to that, can we talk about McLeod Bethel Thompson before we even get into the thing? The hilarity of
before the game.
Oh yeah,
sorry to completely cut your flow, but I think that needs to be mentioned.
I forgot that we didn't talk about that, but I think we mentioned that there was some talk when McLeod Bethel Thompson was told by MLSC,
who owns the Argos and the Raptor, like they're all. Yeah.
He was told to go to this Raptors game. And he was on TV making his appearance. He was wearing the mask and everything too, I think.
But the idea was to generate attention because the Argos, like, it's something that happened. Like, there's Leafs at Raptors games. There's Raptors at Leafs games. When big games are happening in the playoffs, you see the teams like you see that all the time. It's
when UFC was thing. Here. When UFC was here, Max Holloway was at the Raptors. They do the same kind of thing.
It happens all the time.
So they was told he can go to that. And then, for some reason, the next day it came out where it said he shouldn't have been at that game. He needs to go through protocol.
There was a league
final
because there was a league rule that apparently the Argos were completely unaware of, and when they told him to go. So it wasn't like he went and broke that rule about going to large gatherings, like of his own accord. He literally was told to by his boss to do it. To generate, like, it's one of the things too where it's like essentially the league wants him to do it to draw attention in the league's biggest city. It was like the way this one ended. It was just beautiful of how Bush League the whole thing was. Well, this is why the CFL gets a bad rap.
How many people do you think how many people tuned in because he was at the game? Do you think it made a big rating bump?
Some people were aware. They made a few people at least more.
Well, the thing is actually the thing that happened after, like the fact that he might have missed the game, I think actually probably drew more viewers than anything because it's what the hell is going on here? You know what I mean? Like it's a sideshow, like everyone has to look kind of thing.
He ended up playing, which is good, and then but then the game happened, and it did not look good early on. The red zone drives were terrible. Tony, what were your thoughts on just like?
Well, I think it was a story. There were two games. So there was a game where Jeremiah Masoli was in the game, and then when Dane Evans came in, with two completely different football games. With Masoli, they stunk. Hamilton couldn't move the ball at all, and even the Argos. Well, they had a fumble recovery, and that moved them down the field as well. But those two drives at the beginning of the game, very reminiscent NFL comparison. Packers Seahawks NFC Championship game 2015
2014 15
yeah where
Packers the Boston game
They had that was the
the onside kick Boston game where he jumps in front of Jordy Nelson for some fucking
the
reason.
Packers, they could have put that game away at the beginning. They had first and goal a couple of times, and they kicked field goals. They didn't score. They didn't even try. That's exactly what the Argos did. And I was telling Theo on Sunday, like, why shouldn't you be going for it more in the CFL? Because the end zone is bigger. You have more room to play with. You can basically have your full playbook. And instead, they kicked 2 field goals. And even in the moment, even when they were completely shutting down Masoli and Hamilton, it's like, well, they're only up 6. Like, there's nothing, right? Like, one play can change anything. Dane Evans comes in, lights up the Argos. I never heard of this guy before.
He had done this early in the season, got hurt. He had done something like this early in the season, got hurt, missed a whole, got hurt, came back, got hurt again, and missed a bunch of time. And he was apparently some guy who had never missed time, even in high school and college, and never missed time with injury, and then finally missed time with injury. And Jeremiah Masoli, who's been their starter at different times for the Tiger Cats, came back in, had clearly taken the job back over, and in standard CFL fashion, Dane Evans comes in the playoff. Like, that's what seems to happen the CFL is like a 2-quarterback league. It's
there's backups all the time just coming out.
You have to have 2 quarterbacks in that league because it seems to happen where
the guy forced a fumble. Like, just a stupid play. Our guy in secondary.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a guy hold the ball with less security than this guy who intercepted it at the end of the first?
I mean, do you remember LaShawn McCoy? The way he used to hold the football.
He always looked like
he was a running back.
But he never fumbled.
He never fumbled.
He never fumbled. That was the best part about it.
I've never seen a guy like a corner. He was literally holding with the wrong side of the hand. Like, you have to hold on the outside, so if you get hit, it goes out of bounds. He was holding it the wrong way, and we would have had another field goal there. That would have put more points on the board for the Argos.
Yeah.
But Dane Evans just lit them up, and the offense just completely stalled out after the first half. Not even get close to scoring. There were a few bad no calls. That no call in the pass.
I was going to say, you guys were losing it. I was getting a lot of text messages about refs.
Can I say something though in defense of the league?
Yes, sure.
I think that's how PI should be called in the NFL. I think a little bit more freedom, because it wasn't perfect coverage, but it wasn't crazy interference. I wanted the call being made, obviously, especially when you watch the NFL, that usually gets made. But I don't mind if that would be like how the rule is called, where it's not as ticky-tacky.
Yeah.
The one where he grabbed the face mask was so ridiculous.
That one was ridiculous.
How don't you call that? Even the broadcaster, shout out Dwayne Ford from my high school.
Oh, shit.
He went to my high school.
Mississauga legend.
Went to my high school. My dad played football against him. No big deal.
How did your dad do against him?
They played creative positions, but
probably
Dwayne Ford was a pretty big deal.
I was going to say, considering, exactly. It probably didn't go very well.
He was sick. His picture's up in high school. But, they grabbed, they acted like, I guess it wasn't that bad. Grabbed a face mask at the end. No big deal. What? I didn't know face mask was a minor infraction. But apparently.
I had it muted, but from what you were telling me, it was all Hamilton on the broadcast team.
Yeah.
And it felt like everything was being dictated for them to get to the Grey Cup, with them hosting, with the McLeod stuff. And then I want to get to what happened after, because that's where this whole game is.
That stuff built up throughout the game. That guy, 80, was going into the crowd, egging people on, which is cool. In the NFL, that can't really happen.
It's more personal league. That's why people like it more.
Yeah, exactly.
But with the situation we're talking about, obviously, everyone's seen it. Yeah, everyone's seen this video. This Ticats fan who's smaller than he's probably 5'5", tiny little guy, was throwing beer allegedly on these Argo players after the game, because BMO is situated. You can get in the stands very easily.
Yeah,
a lot of players decided to take him up on the offer to come in. Didn't start anything. This guy came up behind these Argo players, started shaking the flag. I think he might have punched them.
Well, it's all
like
a 4-foot wall.
Yeah, scumbags.
Well, they jumped that little 4-foot wall thing, and Well, I was telling Theo before this, when you see that video, you immediately see that they so instinct kicks in and they rush him, like the Argos players that end up at the guy. And immediately when they get there, you can see that their career flashes before their eyes. And they don't even lift their hands like they're going to swing and just immediately start dodging his punches because they're like, oh shit, that's right. We can't hit a fan. Because if we hit a fan, our careers are literally over.
Yeah, these 30K a year CFL checks will be no more.
No, exactly. It was immediate. Like they got into reaction, human instinct kicks in, and you're ready to fight, and then you're like, yes, can't do that. I keep looking at my phone because I'm trying to see if I'm gonna get a Jason Spezza update anytime soon.
Yeah,
it'll be after we're done.
Well, probably God knows because the fucking NHL will probably get it tomorrow. Like he missed this game.
Yeah, but we had that, and I think if you throw beer in a party, they should have free reign at you, and there should be no consequences.
You can't throw shit. You can't throw shit.
No other situation in life would you do that and expect not to get punched.
Exactly. In what situation in life, if you throw a drink at someone, do you not expect them to come beat your ass? Or at least attempt to beat your ass if you throw a drink at them.
I'm trying to think of a situation.
Yeah, get back to us on that.
You have to be so in the wrong for someone to throw a drink at you to be like, I deserve that. I will just eat that because yes. You know what I mean? You had to have fucked up and been like, yeah, I did something, so I'm just gonna take this. That's the only way that makes sense.
It's like if you hit someone knee to knee in a hockey game and then you get hit in the head, you just have to take it. It's the same concept.
It just happens. It's just,
exactly.
Yeah. Again,
sometimes make it right.
But watching that game takes me back to being on the GO train after one of those games, those Hamilton people going all the way back.
You're on the other side. You got to go to the west, Lakeshore West.
Yeah, I take the west, so it's terrible. They're my least, probably my least.
How many times have you done that?
I was about to say, I feel like maybe once. When there's been an actual Ticats Argos game where you
there's also been I don't know. Maybe there was some other reason I was there where I just happened, the whole train is packed and all the Oski wee wee people.
The craziest GO train I ever had was after a Canadian baseball game. People were rowdy. It was fun. It wasn't it was people were just shit-faced.
Oh, yeah. Well, that stuff's always awesome.
But yeah, the Ticats fans, Anthony, you're right. That's just,
I hate them.
That was something else, man.
There's one more thing about the game. We should McLeod Bethel Thompson going full on Kenny Rogers.
Oh yeah, and flipping camera,
it was just
what are you doing?
CFL moment.
What are you WWE doing? And the best part was how he owned that too. In the interview too, you could tell he felt like such a fucking idiot when he was apologizing. He's like, I know that guy was just doing his job. It was basically I just want if this gets out to him, I want him to know I know he was doing his job. And that was really sick. You could basically see him sitting there. It looked like a kid who was just God, I know I fucked up and I have to apologize. This sucks. It was fucking hilarious.
Imagine a Matthew Stafford after a game just pushing a camera guy because he's too close to him.
No, because it wouldn't happen. Because you know who would do something like that? Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, well, he would just scream.
There are people who would do that.
True.
On the field, though, I don't know if it's happened yet.
No,
that's like an Aqib Talib type thing to do.
Aqib Talib might.
But even now, Aqib Talib didn't even do it.
Anthony, quarterback. Quarterback's a different standard.
Yeah, not many. Maybe Aaron Rodgers. I don't know.
I don't think
maybe now Aaron Rodgers
would say something
current Aaron Rodgers.
He would say something passive aggressive that would get in the guy's head. He wouldn't push him.
He might.
He'd just be like, I'm immunized against cameras.
Yeah, he is.
Do you want to give Andrew a shout and wrap it up with a little bit of Raps talk, or where do you want to go from there?
He said 1 sec. Can we talk some Jays before he gets on? He said 1 second.
I guess the only thing there's really to talk about is Suzuki. So Seiya Suzuki, Seiya. I have to figure out how to pronounce this man's name. He plays the infield, the outfield, he's a Gold Glover in right field. He's played shortstop and third base. He's more of an outfielder, but if you look at his numbers, they're insane. He hit 38 home runs. He had an OPS over 1,000.
4 years.
Yeah, well, exactly, and he hits over 300. He has an on base over 400 and a slugging over 5. In the last 2 years, it's been over 6. Well, the last year, it's been over 600. He's insane. Tony brought this up right before we were talking. He's a Deki Matsui comp. Like that's exactly what all of these numbers is exactly what Matsui looked like. Just Matsui was left-handed. Matsui hit 30 to 40 home runs a season. He hit 300. He got on base at a high clip. Like one goal. Like that's what you're looking at. But again, it's a 27-year-old, and you never really know what it is. But I'd be super interested in bringing him over because if he can play defense, and I mean these numbers are insane. This would be like a guy hitting this in AAA.
And you don't want the other options of where he is going to go.
Well, that's exactly the entire AL East is in on him. Essentially, it's like Boston, New York, and Toronto are the teams that are going the hardest for him. So if you get him just to keep him away from the Yankees and the Red Sox, it's also a nice thing.
And if they do this, like I would think this means Grichuk or
I would hope
Grichuk would be like
gone.
A giveaway trade. If it was Gurriel, it would be some package for a massive deal.
Yeah, I still want Jose. I'm still on the Jose Ramirez thing. I've just talked myself into this happening.
We didn't talk about the Randall Grichuk for Jackie Bradley Jr.
Oh, we didn't talk about that.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Actually, yeah, that was apparently something that was, and I'm the reason I
love that. I'll be honest with you, would love that.
Yeah, because you get the elite defense, the left-handed bat. Yeah, Jackie Bradley Jr. is up and down offensively. But when he's up, he's really good, and he's a Gold Glover all the time. And he's more expensive, but he's only got 1 year left.
Yeah.
So you have Grichuk, who's cheaper, but the Brewers would have him for a couple more seasons, whereas this would be the only year of Jackie Brad. Well, in theory, the Jays could bring him back. But again, it would be the end of that, which means it frees up payroll flexibility going forward.
Yeah, I saw a lot of comments online were like, no way, like this guy can't hit. Like you don't need him to hit. You have him on the team as like a defensive replacement.
He's a true fourth outfielder.
Yeah, who can get hot against right-handed pitching sometimes. It's not something you rely on, but it's something that he can do that you've seen before.
This lineup is like the perfect setup.
And late in games, would it not be great to see him come in defensively? I mean, they're not going to take Springer out of center and move him into right. They'll put him in left field, like what they did with Dyson when Springer came back, where he plays left field, but you take that defense all day over Lourdes if Lourdes is the one who's left.
Yeah. But speaking of coming in late in games and closing it out the way it should be closed out, Andrew Clark.
With an E.
Clarky's back in. What's up, buddy?
What a transition. No, I'm good. I was like, honestly, like, I'm like cooking dinner for the family, so like I honestly just lost track of time, and I was just
shit.
Yeah. So, but we're here, and the Raptors are playing better,
a lot better,
and
they looked a lot better in that last game. But the more important thing, so they look better, and that's kind of what we expected. We talked about their young team thing. We brought Andrew in here because specifically, I was talking to Theo about this, and then Theo told me that he was talking to you about this. So how did OG and Kem Birch go from day to day to out indefinitely? How did knee swelling and whatever's up with OG go from day to day to indefinitely?
Okay, all right. So one thing is I've dealt with individuals who have had knee swelling before, like just in team sports and everything. So those always just seem random to me. So like Kem's is like one thing, but OG's is weird because it's just like an injury that we never heard of. What's a hip pointer?
Well, I've heard of hip pointer. It happens in football, and it happens in hockey. It happens in other sports a lot.
Oh, okay. I personally never heard of it before.
It's a type of muscle in the hip, and you like pull your it's a muscle. Yeah, let me actually Google it, but I'm pretty sure it's a muscle in your hip that you pull.
But yeah, it was. That's how with like OG, I know it was like he's going to be out of like for a few weeks.
A hip pointer is a deep bruise to the ridge of the bone on the upper side of your hip, called the iliac crest. It's often a result of a direct blow to the hip or a hard fall. So it sounds like this went from like it's a hip pointer to like did he fuck it up bad?
Yeah,
which is not good when you're talking about someone's hip.
Because the timeline was weird. Because it was
day to day. He was day to
be a while, and then it's like, oh, he's questionable for this game. It's like, okay, I guess things are ahead.
Well, it was okay. It was not day to day. It was like a week or two, And then exactly, then it became day to day where it was you were waiting updates for him every day. And now, like starting yesterday, it became, I don't know if it was yesterday or this morning, I can't remember now. But I was just looking at Twitter where it was Blake Murphy who was just like, yeah, now it's indefinitely. And it was like, wait, what? Like indefinitely? What?
Like they said, Nick Nurse said like a while last week, and now it's indefinitely.
So that's a big concern considering what OG has started to turn himself into.
His power went out. He said 1 second.
Oh, seriously?
I saw him frozen. You know, with Andrew, I can never tell if he's frozen.
Or
that's his
just
face.
Not moving. Yeah, he's just stoic.
So I saw my phone. I looked down and like my power's out, and I saw his screen. I'm like, he's still there though. But I guess he wasn't there.
He was just frozen in place. But yeah, it's super concerning. It's incredibly concerning because he's supposed to be
survive depth. Like
exactly. We said that they're a deep team, but they're a deep team if no one gets hurt. They're a deep regular season team. You know what I mean? Where they can just roll out, and they look great. Like they pounded that Wizards team who is out to this hot start. Like they beat the hell out of them. They got ahead and stepped on their throat every time they came back. It was exactly what you want to watch.
Even like that, Fred had an off game too.
Yeah, like they looked good. They did everything you want them to do. So it was great, honestly. And it looked ugly early where no one could hit a shot, but they came through.
Yeah. So OG is like best most important player on the team, second most important.
Because of the way he plays defense, you could argue. Like because of his two-way game, you could argue that he's the most important. Because if he's not scoring, like if he's not giving you a good offensive night because his shot's off, he's shutting down the best player on the other team. Yeah. So he's very valuable. Welcome back.
Sorry about that. They seem to be having issues with the power in the neighborhood. I don't know.
Oh shit.
Yeah. But we're here. Yeah, so sorry, what was the injury about?
Oh no. So he has a hip pointer. So it's so wait, let me read that again. I had it Googled. So it's basically a bone bruise on part of his hip, on the crest of the iliac bone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does it sound serious? Do we know?
No, it's like it's supposed to be a bone bruise. So it's supposed to be something that like, oh, the leash is buried. Nice. Matthews again. It's not it's supposed to be a thing that's a couple of weeks. It's not supposed to be something that's a long term. So then you start to be like, is something actually wrong with his hip? Like, what did he? I don't want to say did he break his hip, but like, what the fuck did he do to his hip?
Yeah.
Well, we also know with the Raptors, based on last year, that they're not taking any chances whatsoever. They're close to losing. Like at least,
but they really shouldn't be. Like that was last year. That was when they were trying to tank. Like that's not a thing they should be doing.
I know. Right now they're what 11 seed. They're not going to push them.
It's 20 games into the season. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, we're not talking about there's 20 games left in the season. And they're like, oh, you're the 11th seed.
I know, but they're not, like, thinking this is their year to really make noise. They're going to make sure OG's 100%.
Holy shit. Your volumes.
Whose volume?
Oh, I can just hear a bunch of background noise all of a sudden.
No.
And then Tony's volume peaked, but maybe it was just me.
I think we're good. Andrew, talk. I think it's you.
Could be me.
Oh,
It's a little loud, but it's fine.
No.
But yeah. What were you gonna say, Andrew?
Me? Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm concerned right now because our schedule is easy. The Raptors' schedule is easy. So like what? We play OKC tomorrow, right?
Yeah, they should be able to win that game without anybody.
They better not lose to OKC, and that would be really embarrassing. But other than that, I'm feeling like
acknowledge that if that happens, it would be ridiculous.
I'm feeling like the goal here right now is to get to 500, get healthy, and to see what we do after the New Year's.
100%. That's yes. It's just concerning. Like the injuries became long term. It's 5-1 for the Leafs now. What the hell is happening? I
popped it up earlier.
This is amazing. Well, I saw the 4-1 thing, and now it's
like
5-1.
5 seconds later.
That is amazing.
Off the face
they're just shit pumping the Blue Jackets. But yeah, no, like that's what you want them to do is get healthy, see them together, get to 500, and then push. Because if you can get healthy, late and you get all these pieces together and you get to see how they work together. This is what I was saying like last week, and when Tony was bringing up that like, oh, they can lose. Not this year, not with these pieces. It's you have to see if they work together and this is your core. I'm doubling down on that. Like you really, it's very important this year for that to see if they work together. So,
well, I think we kind of know OG's gonna fit. I don't think he was a question mark.
No, but you want to see them all playing together, right? Like you want to see them all healthy on the court together because that just hasn't happened. So you need to see if these pieces all fit together and work, and like if it's worth building around, or if you have to make some kind of change somewhere, right? Like you need to see it together. I think for a sustained period of time.
Yeah.
One other thing that I wanted to quick real is apparently the Pacers are imploding right now.
Oh yeah, they're about to blow it up. They're about to trade potentially 2 of Sabonis, Karis LeVert, or Miles Turner. Miles Turner would be great.
How badly do you want Miles Turner, Andrew?
I really do. Really do.
He would
match so well with the team.
Well, because he's not going to do anything offensively because he doesn't need to, but he can stretch it if he can shoot 3.
He can catch a lob. He can.
I was going to say just having him in the pick and roll with Fred would be so much better.
I like him. I like Miles Turner.
I would also love.
I mean, he's technically not a 7-footer though, Andrew.
You know how else would be great? Sabonis.
These NBA.
Well, Sabonis that'd be way too much. The package, I guess.
But yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, they are. They're tearing it apart. But you figured that was going to happen eventually because look at the team they put together. They're a fun team, but like with the way the NBA is built, are they a championship contender? No, they're a fun team that can, like when they're healthy with Brogdon and LeVert and like and TJ Warren when he's healthy. Like this is a team that can be really fun. They can't win a championship because the way the NBA is constructed because they don't have one. They don't have. They're trying to build like the Raptors did, where it's like we have a lot of really good pieces, but they don't have an alpha.
Yeah, they're very low ceiling. Indiana, it's hard to bring guys in.
Super high floor, low ceiling team. Like that's a team that like that could be a consistent like top 4, top 5 team in the East that loses in the first or second round every. It's the like the Raptors with Kyle and DeMar because they're really good in the regular season. They can boat race teams, but they haven't been healthy, so they haven't been able to do that. So that's why you can see the Indiana being like, well, it hasn't even worked when we've tried to do it this way. So let's just try again.
Yeah. Well, you got to know when to pull the plug in the NBA because you're either first or you're last.
Massive injury bug though for seasons and seasons. So I'm not sure if even like maybe if they had a chance to be healthy and go to the playoffs healthy, maybe if what's this guy? Oladipo never got injured. Who knows what?
Well, yeah, if he doesn't like if he had. Well, they looked really good when they had Brogdon and Oladipo, right? Like,
I go back to this. I go back to this with like some of my friends actually because they're like, I always stand by the fact that I think that LeBron goaltended on that block shot on Oladipo. To this day, I think what would have happened. Yeah.
LeBron was in the wrong. He always is.
They weren't gonna like.
I'll agree on that.
They weren't gonna let Indiana beat. That wasn't gonna happen. That wasn't gonna happen. That series was wild, though. That really was an awesome series. But I guess that's it actually for Raptors and.
We had went a little long on the rest of it this week, talking about the important CFL
fight night.
Wait, I got one more thing. For Andrew. Andrew, who's gonna win the Grey Cup? Who's gonna win the Grey Cup?
My coworker is obsessed with the Rough Riders, so I'm going to say that
they're out. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't know. No idea.
Can you name like another CFL team outside of Toronto?
Is Jason Spezza gets 6 games?
I told you he's getting
the Rough Riders.
He got 6 fucking games for that.
All right, we gotta extend the show a bit.
That's some garbage.
Are you aware of this Spezza thing? What's your reaction?
6 games. What happened?
Wait.
What? That's a fucking joke.
For what?
For Jason Spezza, he got 6 games. How many games did Brendan Lemieux get for biting Brady Kachuk? 4? 5? Hold on.
This is I don't know what to say.
It's classic. I told you I was worried about this.
No, that's why I said he's getting at least 5 just because. You know what I mean? Because they're doing like the way this is happening.
I thought 5 would have been still excessive.
Brandon Lemieux got 5 for biting Brady. So this is worse than biting. I get it. It's suspendable. It's an ugly play. He ends up kneeing him in the head.
It's a bit more dangerous.
What was it? Accidental?
Make suspensions. Make suspensions make sense to me, though. Make suspensions make sense to me.
So Andrew,
Brandon Lemieux, a multiple-time offender for multiple different things, bites somebody and gets 5 games, and Jason Spezza gets 6. Like a statesman of the NHL, a guy who's played over 1,000 games, a guy who has does he have 1,000 points too? I think actually he got 1,000 points.
He got it this year.
Yeah, like what? He's 37 years old. He doesn't even hit. That's not even what he does.
And it's not even like our team has this historic rap sheet. Like, we're the team who's seen as these pussies who don't do anything. And we finally have a moment of standing up for a teammate, maybe in a way we shouldn't have.
But definitely in a way that they shouldn't have. But 6 games.
It doesn't make sense.
6 games.
It's a couple of weeks. Well, you got to appeal it.
Ridiculous. There's honestly nothing I can say other than this is just ridiculous.
No, with the injuries we're seeing now, it's tough to not have him for.
I can't believe that's 6 games. 6 games.
Yeah. Just the NHL being the NHL, it's why they're a Mickey Mouse league. They've always been seen like a second-rate league, and it's decisions like this, like what we saw in the game Sunday, leading over into this. It's just the same shit, and I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense at all. We were at least it broke before we broke.
George Peros is a joke. Like the NHL Department of Player Safety is a joke. It's an absolute. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know. They don't know what they're doing. They honestly have no idea what the fuck they're doing.
We had a game on Sunday.
Joke.
We had a game on Sunday, Andrew, and it got kind of out of hand. There was a very illegal hit on one of the Leafs players. There was no penalty, wasn't called. So our guy, Spezza, came in and enacted some revenge with a little bit of a cheap shot of his own. No penalties for either of them in that moment. After the guy who did it against the Leafs got 2 games, Spezza gets 6 games. And the guy who did it against the Leafs has more of a track record. Spezza, really no track record. So this is the kind of
not really no track record.
It's
no track
retaliation. Record. The guy who retaliates seems to just always get more time, in my opinion.
And it goes ahead too.
And 6 games.
That was a statement, though. That was the statement they wanted to make, and whatever,
Let's just wrap this up before I get even more upset and yell about.
We didn't
more
get Andrew's Grey Cup pick.
Oh yeah, we did. We were rudely interrupted.
But he said the Rough Riders.
No, name the team. Okay, I'll tell you the teams. It's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats in a rematch.
Let's go Winnipeg because I'm anti him. So let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
I'm 100% with you, Andrew. It was always the Blue Bomb.
All right. I'm gonna wrap this up just because I'm very upset and I'm this is stupid. The NHL and Department of Player Safety is dumb. All right. So that's been Toronto Untilt Live. I'm Steve Artabello with Anthony Harris, Theo Giordano, and Andrew Clark joins us as always to talk some Raptors. Wow. You can find us at our website, torontountilt.com. You can find us at our Twitter at Toronto Untilt. We're live on Twitch right now. We're also it's Toronto Untilt. We're live on YouTube, Toronto Untilt. This video will be posted on our the audio will be posted to all of the places where you find podcasts. That's Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, Bleaker, all of the things. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. We do this every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. We go live, then we record it, throw it up. Join us. And I'm probably just going to be still upset about this next week, about the Jason Spezza thing next week when he's still suspended because this is stupid.
Go, Leafs, go.
Bye. See ya.